Dear colleagues, I'm very excited to be part of this wonderful conversation about rethinking animality. This is a very important topic in the 21st century, and I would very much like to thank the Department of Philosophy at the University of Compostela for organizing this event, Nicola Zen for putting all these fantastic scholars together, and also the keynotes. We're talking about Oscar Horta, Roberto Marchesini, Leonardo Caffo, Antonino Firenze, Siobhan O'Sullivan. So definitely very interesting group of people rethinking animality. My name is Francesca Ferrando. I teach philosophy here at NYU Program of Liberal Studies in the United States. If you would like to have more information about my work, you can go to my website www.posthuman.org. So what I'm going to do in this talk is reframing the conversation under the philosophical frame of philosophical posthumanism. I would also like to mention that a lot of the discussion that I'm going to propose to you today has been dealt in my book, which is coming out with Bloomsbury in the spring of 2019, which is entitled precisely Philosophical Posthumanism. So I would like to start this conversation asking a very important question. Why are we here today? Why are we here today? To reflect on the posthuman turn. Why? Because we know that the existential flow is constantly changing, evolving, unfolding. Because we know that changes are connected to pluralistic visions, collective energies, and material evolutions. Because we know that this meeting, right here, right now, is making history. So what do we want? What is that this inspiring community, which is coming from so many different countries, is envisioning? There are many visions in this room. Each of us is conceiving important changes. And all of these visions are connected to the posthuman paradigm shift. As a philosopher, I would like to define this shift in three ways. As a posthumanist philosopher, I think of philosophical posthumanism as a post/humanism, as a post/anthropocentrism, and as a post/dualism. So this is something that I found really useful when people ask me what is philosophical posthumanism. There is also a lot of confusion between posthumanism and transhumanism. Transhumanism is very much about human enhancement. Posthumanism is very much about the deconstruction of the human. What philosophical posthumanism adds to the conversation is some clarity about the methodology. How can we deconstruct the human? So we're going to offer here an approach which is offered in these three layers as a post/humanism, post/anthropocentrism, and post/dualism. Philosophical posthumanism is a philosophy of mediation, which discharges any confrontational dualisms as well as hierarchical legacies. This is why it can be approached as a post/humanism. In order to acknowledge that not all human beings have been equally accounted for under the umbrella term human. In this sense, the human is recognized as a plural notion, humans. And in this sense, I like to think of the human not as a noun, but as a verb, to humanize, the process of humanizing. And we can see in this process of humanizing that some humans have been left out, others have been not considered as human as others. Think, for instance, of the discovery of the Americas. I'm right now in New York. I'm on American land. When the Spaniards discovered the Americas in the 16th century, there was a whole big discussion about the Native Americans. Are these people humans? Are these people subhumans? not humans. For instance, Bartolomé de las Casas was claiming that Native Americans were human beings, while Sepúlveda, for instance, was claiming that they were not human beings, they were subhumans, less than humans. We are talking here about economic interests, slavery, the fact that these humans could be considered slaves in order to support the economy of Spain. So again, a big debate about humans who have been considered less than human for economic reason, political reason, and social political consequences that we can still nowadays witness, the racism and many other forms of discrimination. This is just an example to understand that not all human beings that we can consider human genetically have been considered human in social political occurrences. To these humans, plural, we are going to add a layer with post-anthropocentrism. I would like also to add a little parenthesis here. Human comes from Latin humanus, humana, humanum. The Latin philosophers were very fascinated by Greek philosophy, and they constructed the notion of the human in relation to the anthropos, Greek, paideia, education connected to humanitas in Latin. And when we look at the notion of the human in Greek, which is anthropos, we find out something very interesting. We find out that the notion of the anthropos was created as in separation from three domains. One was the divine domain. In order to be human, you could not be a god or a goddess. We were thinking about the polytheistic society. The Greeks were polytheistic society. In order to be human, you could not be a non-human animal, but also in order to be human anthropos, you could not be barbarian. The notion of anthropos was very much related to language, speaking Greek, being civilized, in separation from the barbarian. For instance, they at the time used to think of Persians as barbarians. So again, we can see something very interesting here in the tradition, in the construction of the notion of the human. Not every human being has been considered as such. So we start with the deconstruction of the human from the human tradition. And from there we go to post-anthropocentrism. As a post-anthropocentrism, philosophical posthumanism does not recognize humans as superior or exceptional in comparison to other beings. In this sense, again, the idea is that humans is many. We are many. Look in this room right now, how many different humans, and we all go under the umbrella term of the human. The human is not a singular notion, it's a plural notion. But also the human itself has been constructed in separation from others. For instance, think of the separation human animals, non-human animals, human/machine. Well, the post-human, through this very important term, which is post-dualism, deconstruct as well the strict dichotomies of human, non-human, human versus machine, female/male, black/white, etc., etc. So post-dualism is a very important term for philosophical posthumanism, which really underlines here the importance of deconstructing rigid dichotomies. So dualism itself is underlying something that needs to be deconstructed. So if posthumanism can be seen as the pluralistic symphony of the human voices who had been silenced in the historical developments of the notion of humanity, and again keep in mind of human as a verb to humanize, post-anthropocentrism adds to this concert the non-human voices, or better, their silencing in what is currently defined as the sixth mass extinction, the ongoing extinction of species caused directly or indirectly by human action. A shift can only result by fully acknowledging the actual state of things. Don't hurry away, staying with the trouble. Really understand what's happening, acknowledging what's happening. Philosophical posthumanism calls for an environmental and sustainable praxis by accessing the posthuman as a post/anthropocentrism. Historically, philosophical posthumanism can be seen as the philosophical approach which suits the informal geological time of the Anthropocene. Now, this is a very interesting notion. Geologists used to define this era as still part of the Holocene. In year 2000, Crutzen and Stormer came with this term, the Anthropocene. They coined this term to underline the impact of human action on a planetary level. And I think it's very interesting to add a layer to Darwinian evolution. In this sense, it's not only the human that are adapting to the environment, but it's also the environment that is adapting to human and to, of course, also non-human agency. So here the idea is that there is an interaction. The human and the environment are co-constituting each other. Very important, because it's very important also to understand that our actions are really having a massive effect on the planet as a whole. And we're talking about actually 6 mass extinction. Thousands of species are getting extinct every year because of human action. I'm going to give you some more examples. For instance, space debris. This is all technological garbage which is outside of Earth due to the use, for instance, of the internet, satellites in space. So this is like in the last 50, 60 years. This is becoming a big problem. We're talking about deforestation. This is, for instance, Borneo. We're talking about other species, non-human species getting extinct. This is the world's last male white rhino, which died a couple of months ago, and so on. So a lot of effects of human actions on planet Earth that we need to acknowledge, staying with the trouble, understanding what's happening. And in order to make a shift, we really need to embrace post-anthropocentrism. We cannot see the human anymore as this exceptional animal, as the most evolved one. This kind of terminology, this kind of narrative needs to be changing right now, not only in the way we talk in theory, but also in the practice. That's why posthumanism is a praxis. So what does it mean to be posthuman in relation to other species? In order to answer to this question, we have to expand the analysis to a second level of deconstruction, investigating the biodomain from a post-anthropocentric perspective, highlighting that the line between human animals and non-human animals is not definitive. For instance, humans share much of their DNA with non-human animals. Furthermore, the great diversity of non-human animals cannot be classified and simplified under one category, non-human, which only suits the necessity of the hierarchical dichotomy human/non-human, according to which historically the human has been considered exceptional and superior to the non-human. So this division really suits only the interest of one species, which is the human. As a post-anthropocentrism, philosophical posthumanism allows for a relocation, which is aware of speciesism, discrimination based on species, speciesism, and of the devastating effects of anthropocentric habits, thus marking a passage from technology to ecotechnology. We're going to come back to this important point. From justice to multi-species justice. From the generalized self-denomination as humans to the more precise biological nomenclature of human animals. So we should define ourselves not just as human, but as human animals. We should think of justice not just for humans, but multi-species justice. And we should think of technology, be excited of technology, but think of technology in ecological terms. And we're going to come back to this important point. Posthumanism is the philosophy of our time, which is dealing with the urgency for an integral redefinition of the notion of the human. Philosophical posthumanism, as a radical response to the history of human primacy, addresses the question, who am I, in conjunction to other related questions. What am I, the material aspect of being human? And where and when are we, the environment, the era? What are our actions? How are our actions affecting the whole biodomain? So in relation, the who to the what, to the where, and to the when. The posthumanism destabilizes the limits and symbolic borders posed by strict dichotomies. So dualisms such as human/animal, human/machine, human/non-human, and more in general, subject/object are re-investigated through a perception which does not work on oppositional schemata. So what about post-dualism? Post-dualism is a term that we really should think of, although it's really kind of a new term within the post-human paradigm. But we really need to think of post-dualism. Why? Why so important? Because we, as a society, may eventually overcome racism, sexism, and even anthropocentrism. But if we do not address the rigid form of dualistic mindset that allows for hierarchical socio-political constructions, then new forms of discrimination will emerge, such as portraying robots, for instance, as new others. And this could work both ways, not only discrimination against robots, but, for instance, discrimination against humans by advanced AI. Think, for instance, of all the debate about AI takeover. So definitely dualism should be addressed not only because it may be used socially and culturally by humans, but also for other species. We really need to deconstruct dualism as a habit of an intra-species society. I'm not anymore thinking just of human society, of an intra-species society, multi-species society. So here I would like to address ecology and technology together. How is that possible? It's not only possible, but it's really what we need to do in the post-human paradigm shift. What does it mean, ecotechnology? It means that technology should be thought not in separation from the environment, but as part of the environment. In the cycle of material existence, technological objects come from the earth, for instance, in their embodiments made of mineral and metals, among other material. And once disposed, they go back to it. Now, is their material cycle separated from the notion of technology? So is the material cycle of technology separated from technology? No, it's not. The notion of technology from a post-humanist perspective comprehends all of its implications, including the socio-political impact of its material and its disposal. For instance, the columbite tantaline, called coltan, which is a rare ore that is used in the production of electronics, including laptops and cell phones, is commonly found in the Democratic Republic of Congo and mined in rebel-controlled territory, dramatically affecting civilians, wildlife, and national parks. We should also think of the toxicity of e-waste and its impact on human health and the environment. So how do we dispose our computers, our laptop, our cell phone when we don't need them anymore, when they're old enough that we don't want them anymore? That kind of waste, the e-waste, is a crucial topic also to think of. Furthermore, mainstream technologies such as cell phones and the internet increasingly require the presence of satellites in orbit, which are responsible for the growing amount of space debris. And we've seen the picture before in the space debris. To summarize, from a comprehensive posthumanist perspective, the notion of technological developments should not be approached in a univocal manner, that is, bringing progress to a specific field only or to a specific species only, but they should be regarded in a comprehensive way. The progress they bring to some humans, for instance, cannot be at the expense of other humans or non-humans, others. So again, this idea of technological development, it should really be thought in a multi-species way. Technological developments, from a post-humanist and post-anthropocentric perspective, require sustainable practices in their intentions and in their materialization. So this is something that should be thought when already technology is being conceived. Philosophical posthumanism invites us to proceed in relational and multi-layered ways in a post-dualistic, post-hierarchical praxis which sets a suitable way of departure to approach existence beyond the boundaries of humanism and anthropocentrism. Why is that? Because this is really opening our perception as existing being. We are not just humans, and we really need to address ourselves as these posthuman networks of energy alliances that go beyond our species. In this sense, we have always been posthuman. Imagine that one day you realize that every single action you have taken, every thought you have ever had, every dream that you have ever dreamt, every word that you have ever spoken, have been affecting and affecting the materialization of existence. Why are we here today? Because we know that the existential flow is constantly changing, evolving, unfolding. Because we know that it is us here today making a change. It is the posthuman wave moving beyond human society towards the next phase of relationality, post-humanistic, post-anthropocentric, and post-dualistic. As human and non-human animals, robots and plants, planet Earth, Mars, and beyond, as different and connected, as right here, right now, gazing at each other, envisioning the post-human paradigm shift, and feeling fully enlightened. So I would like to thank you so much for your kind attention. I would like to thank you so much for thinking about these very important topics that need to be addressed now. There is no tomorrow, there is not yesterday, there is the now. We need to do it now. Thanks for bringing together this wonderful community, and I'm really looking forward for the discussion and the Q&A. Again, a lot of the topics that will be addressed can be found in my book, Philosophical Posthumanism, which is coming out at in the spring of 2019, published by Bloomsbury. And more information on my work and also to connect with me, please, I would love that. You can go to my website, www.posthuman.org. We also have a wonderful community of posthumanists here at NYU. We do have regular meetings, so please, if you ever come to New York, let me know. Let's keep connected and let's see changing. We are the change. Thank you so much.